Imagine walking into a dimly lit room and sitting down across from the version of yourself from exactly 5 years ago. You'd expect the conversation to be effortless. You share the same history, the same upbringing, and a lifetime of the same memories. It should be a perfect, seamless reunion. But within minutes, the friction becomes impossible to ignore. They bring up a crisis that you've entirely forgotten. You mention it, but you are talking to a stranger. We tend to perceive our identity as an unbroken, straight line, but in practice, our actual sense of self branches off and curves away from that path, creating a massive gap between who we were and who we've become. This drift occurs without any grand announcement. You didn't wake up one morning and decide to replace your personality, nor did you necessarily experience a single event that broke your old self. There was no trauma to point to, and no conscious choice to change. You simply lived your life, and yet the old identity vanished. If you never felt the transition from yesterday to today, how did you become a completely different person right under your own nose? Human identity functions more like a fluid system than a rigid monument. It is a biological structure that is constantly responding to the environment. We see the most obvious signs of this in our external choices, the clothes we stop wearing or the hairstyles we can no longer imagine ourselves with. Those shifting aesthetics are just the visible symptoms of deeper movements. When your tastes change, it's because your internal metrics for what you value have moved. Your core identity acts as a balanced sphere, but it is under constant bombardment. Every minor frustration, every small success, and every casual conversation acts as a particle of experience that accumulates mass, slowly deforming the sphere and shifting its center of gravity. Because the weight of any single day of experience is effectively zero, the transformation successfully bypasses your conscious awareness. We often treat time as a passive background, a simple measurement of the distance between the past and the present. In reality, time acts as an aggressive editor of your consciousness. Within your belief system, time makes thousands of unauthorized micro-adjustments daily. It systematically snaps connection lines of old habits and reactions while solidifying new ones. This process reshapes your worldview without asking permission. When you notice a change, the old architecture is already gone. Your brain isn't designed to log these micro-edits as discrete events. You don't feel the rewrite happening, you only see the result. The person you thought you were yesterday has already been revised by the time you wake up today. You can find proof of this edit in the things you no longer care about. Think of a stressor that used to keep you awake 5 years ago, a specific fear or a social pressure that felt all-consuming. When you look at that same issue today, you might find a total absence of emotion. The anxiety is gone, replaced by a sense of indifference. It's tempting to view this disconnect as a loss of self, a sign that you've become colder or less engaged with the world. But this apathy is the evidence of successful adaptation. Your brain has physically recoded itself to stop wasting energy on threats that no longer exist in your current environment. We often cling to the image of the rigid marble bust, wanting to believe we are finished and unchanging. But we are actually the chaotic sketch, an ongoing, highly volatile rough draft that is never quite finished. Once you realize your brain has already decommissioned the neural pathways of your past self, you can stop trying to inhabit those old fears. There is no need to carry the baggage of a version of you that has been overwritten. Accepting the edits of time allows you to treat your current identity as a temporary version, a draft that will eventually give way to an even more evolved self tomorrow.